My name is Miranda, and at 32 years old, I never thought I'd be at war with my own family over money. When Mom announced the Hawaii vacation, her voice dripped with disdain. Flights are $2,000 each, the poor girl should stay home. Her words stung, but I nodded, hiding the anger bubbling inside. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with alerts. Someone had charged my credit card $8,000 for 4 business class tickets to Hawaii, dates matching the family trip, but my name was nowhere on them. My heart pounded as I opened the app, confirmed the unauthorized charges, and hit dispute. Then I locked every card they could have touched. By morning, my phone showed 45 angry missed calls. Mom, Dad, my sister, my brother, all furious. Before we dive into the chaos that followed, let me know where you're watching from. I really want to know how far my story will spread. Growing up in El Paso, Texas, I never saw the full picture of our family's money issues. I'm a freelance programmer, pulling in about $60,000 a year. My one-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of town is cozy, furnished with thrift store finds and a few personal coding projects pinned to the walls. My 10-year-old Toyota still gets me around just fine. I live within my means, and I'm okay with that. But my parents, Angela and Anthony, exist in a whole different world. Their sprawling house in the suburbs of El Paso boasts a manicured lawn, a 3-car garage, and 2 SUVs that cost more than my yearly income. Mom runs an event planning business, orchestrating high society galas with a smile that never falters. Dad's a stock market investor, always chasing the next big deal. They've built a life that screams success, and they expect us kids to keep up. My younger sister Desiree, 29, works in luxury retail, selling designer handbags to clients who don't blink at $1,000 price tags. My brother Joseph, 26, followed Dad into finance, already pulling 6 figures and driving a sleek new BMW. They fit perfectly into Mom and Dad's world of appearances. Family dinners were a masterclass in subtle digs. When are you going to get a real job? Miranda, Mom would ask over plates of imported steak, her tone light but sharp. Programming's cute, but you could do so much more. Dad would nod, offering me a spot at his firm. I'd smile, deflect, and change the subject. Truth is, I love my work building apps for small businesses, solving problems with clean lines of code. It's not flashy, but it's mine. Corporate life would suffocate me. Our family vacations were another pressure point. They weren't optional. They were performances. Growing up, we'd be marched through resorts in matching outfits for Mom's Instagram aesthetic. As adults, the expectation didn't change. Last year's trip to the Amalfi Coast drained my savings. I'd suggested a cheaper hotel nearby, but Mom's face froze. We're a family, Miranda. We stay together at the best places. What would people think if you were at some budget motel I paid up? Dipping into my emergency fund to cover the family rate she'd secured at a 5-star resort. It was a stretch I couldn't afford. Things got tighter for me recently. 3 months ago, my biggest client, a local startup whose app I'd built from scratch, got acquired by a tech giant. They brought in their own team, cutting my income by 20%. I scrambled for smaller gigs, but my financial cushion was shrinking fast. The constant pressure to match my family's lifestyle didn't help. Every dinner, every holiday, I'd spend on clothes or gifts I couldn't justify just to avoid their sideways glances. It was exhausting, pretending I could keep up with their world. When Mom started planning this year's Hawaii trip, my stomach dropped. I'd always dreamed of seeing the islands, but the timing was brutal. Missing it, though, would be more than a financial choice. It'd be seen as a betrayal of family tradition. In our group chat, Mom raved about the Grand Wailea resort, saying her friend Susan called it life-changing. Desiree jumped in with heart emojis. Already planning spa days. Joseph replied, "Book it. I'm in." I waited a day before texting a vague "sounds great." My mind racing through impossible budget math. The unspoken rule was clear: keep up or be left behind. My rent had gone up $300 last month. A surprise dental bill from a cracked filling ate into what little savings I had left. I couldn't admit to them I was barely staying afloat, not when appearances meant everything. That tension, that suffocating expectation, was the spark waiting to ignite. If this family pressure feels too real, hit subscribe to catch more stories like this. The family meeting happened that Sunday afternoon at their house in El Paso. My parents' dining room was a stage for Mom's extravagant linen tablecloths, crystal glassware, a spread of artisanal cheeses and imported olives that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Mom, Angela, presided over the table like a general, her iPad open to a luxury travel site. Brochures for Hawaii resorts fanned out like a poker hand. Dad, Anthony, sat at the head, scrolling his phone, nodding absently as Mom outlined her vision for our family vacation. My sister Desiree, in a designer blouse, flipped through a glossy pamphlet, while Joseph lounged with his usual confidence, sipping a craft beer. "We're doing 10 days in June at the Grand Wailia," Mom announced, her voice bright with authority. "The weather's perfect, and their infinity pool is divine." Desiree slid a brochure toward me, pointing at a private helicopter tour over Maui's volcanoes, $500 per person. "This looks incredible." "Right," she said, her eyes gleaming. Joseph chimed in. "And the golf course at Kapalua is top tier. I've already booked tee times for me and Dad." I scanned the prices in fine print, my chest tightening. A sailing charter was next on their list. Another $1,000 per head. I swallowed hard and tried to contribute. "What about hiking?" I read. "There are free trails with amazing views." The table went quiet. Mom's smile stiffened. "Free trails are fine for tourists." "Miranda. But we're doing a guided coastal trek with a local expert. It's exclusive." My suggestion sank like a stone. Desiree rolled her eyes, muttering something about budget vibes. Joseph smirked but said nothing. Dad kept scrolling. Then Mom turned to me. Her tone clipped. "Flights are $2,000 each if you can't afford it. The poor girl should stay home." The words landed like a slap, her eyes daring me to argue. Desiree snickered. Joseph raised an eyebrow but stayed silent. Dad didn't look up. I felt my face burn but forced a nod, mumbling, "I'll figure it out." Saying no outright would have sparked a lecture about family unity, so I held my tongue. The meeting dragged on, piling on more exclusive dinners and spa packages I couldn't dream of affording. I left their house in my beat-up Toyota, the weight of their expectations crushing me. 2 hours later, I was back in my apartment, trying to focus on a coding project, when my phone buzzed. Then again, and again. Alerts from my bank app flooded the screen. My hands shook as I opened it. Someone had charged my credit card $8,000 for 4 business class tickets to Hawaii, dates matching the family trip. Names listed for Mom, Dad, Desiree, and Joseph. My name was nowhere. The betrayal hit like a gut punch. They hadn't just used my card without asking, they'd deliberately left me out. Confusion gave way to fury. I tapped through the app, my fingers steady despite the storm inside. The charges were unauthorized. Plain and simple. I hit dispute, typed a quick explanation I didn't make or approve this purchase, and locked the card completely. No one was touching my money again. My phone kept buzzing, notifications piling up, but I ignored them. The family group chat was probably already lighting up, and I knew what was coming. Mom's indignation, Dad's demands, Desiree's snark, maybe even Joseph weighing in. I stared at the locked card confirmation on my screen, my heart racing, knowing this was just the beginning of the fight. The next morning, at 7:30, pounding started on my apartment door in El Paso. I hadn't slept, my phone still buzzing from the family group chat after I locked my card. Through the peephole, I saw Dad, Anthony, his face red, fists clenched. I opened the door but didn't let him in. "What are you doing?" "Miranda," he shouted, skipping any greeting. "The airline called about a problem with our tickets. Your mother's humiliated." I took a breath, keeping my voice even. Someone used my card without my permission for $8,000 in tickets I wasn't even included on. That's the problem. Dad's eyes narrowed. "Don't be dramatic. Your mother was organizing the trip for everyone, like always. You were at the meeting. I said I'd figure it out. Not that I'd pay for everyone else." I shot back. "I can't afford that, and you know it." He waved me off. "This is how our family works. We all pitch in. Desiree's covering spa bookings, Joseph's handling rentals. We're paying for the resort. You're making this harder than it needs to be." I stood firm. "Did Desiree use your card without asking? Did Joseph use Mom's because someone took mine without my consent?" Dad's jaw tightened, but before he could answer, his phone rang. "It's your mother," he said, stepping back to take the call. "She's upset. Fix this now. By noon." My phone rang. Mom. Miranda. How could you do this to me? Angela's voice was thick with tears, the kind she'd perfected for sympathy. After everything I've done for this family, you accuse me of stealing. I haven't eaten all day. I gripped the phone, my patience thinning. You used my card for tickets that left me out. That's not okay. She sighed dramatically. You're breaking our family apart over money. I thought you were better than this. I hung up, my head spinning from her guilt trip. Then came Desiree's move. My sister posted on Instagram a vague caption about selfish people who don't value family, with a photo of her sipping wine at some upscale bar. Mutual friends texted me, asking what was going on. Her posts weren't naming me, but the message was clear. I ignored them. But the pressure was mounting. The family group chat exploded with texts from Mom. Call me immediately. This is unacceptable. Desiree added. You're embarrassing us all. The airline rep was rude to Mom because of you. Joseph stayed silent, which was odd for him. He usually jumped in to back them up. I was staring at my phone, second-guessing myself. When it rang again, an unknown number, I answered, expecting another bank alert. Instead, it was my Aunt Felicia, Dad's sister, calling from Dallas. Miranda. I heard about the drama from your cousin, she said, her voice calm but firm. I don't know the full story, but I've been where you are. Years ago, your parents pulled me into a family investment deal without my consent. They used my credit for a group project and expected me to pay up when it tanked. I let it slide to keep the peace, but it cost me years of debt. Her words hit hard, validating the anger I'd been wrestling with. You're not wrong to stand your ground, she added. Don't let them twist this. Ever stood up to family like this? Comment your story and like if it resonates. Felicia's call steadied me. I'd been feeling like the villain, but her story reminded me this wasn't new behavior. Mom's tears, Dad's demands, Desiree's posts, they were all part of a pattern. I checked my bank app again, confirming the dispute was active. The notifications kept coming, each one sharper, more accusing. I turned off my phone, needing a moment of quiet. But the silence only amplified my thoughts. This wasn't just about $8,000 anymore. It was about trust, boundaries, and a family that didn't see me as equal. I knew the worst was still coming. Over the next 3 days, the pressure ramped up with more calls and texts. My phone became a minefield, buzzing with notifications I couldn't escape. Mom's messages piled up in the group chat, each one sharper. You're tearing this family apart. Miranda, call me now. I ignored them, but the weight of her words gnawed at me. Then, on Tuesday afternoon, my grandma Sharon called, her voice frail. Miranda, darling, what's this about you upsetting your mother? She said. She told me you refused to join the family vacation, causing her so much stress. Her heart's not strong, you know. My stomach twisted. Mom had spun a tale to Grandma, painting me as the selfish one. I tried to explain gently. It's a misunderstanding about the tickets. Grandma, I'm sorting it out. She sighed. Family comes first. Dear, fix this for your mother's sake. I hung up, guilt creeping in despite knowing the truth. By Wednesday, Dad texted a new angle. If money's the issue, we'll loan you the $8,000 for the tickets. Anthony wrote, pay us back when you're stable. Just drop the dispute. I stared at the message, my jaw tight. This wasn't about money. It was about consent. I didn't authorize those charges. I replied, a loan doesn't fix that. He didn't respond, but the silence felt heavier than his usual lectures. Desiree, meanwhile, doubled down on social media. Her latest Instagram story showed a sunset with the caption, some people choose money over love. Sad. Friends messaged me, confused, asking if I was okay. Her posts were vague but cutting, and the attention stung. I muted her notifications, but the damage was done. Our mutual circle was buzzing with speculation. Late Wednesday night, a private message popped up from Joseph, my brother, usually quick to side with Mom. Caught me off guard. This is getting crazy, he wrote. We need to talk. I called him, wary. His voice was low, almost nervous. Mom and Dad are in deep trouble. Miranda. Their finances are a mess. Stock market bets gone wrong. Maxed out credit cards. Loans against the house. They're keeping up appearances with debt. I froze, processing his words. They've been moving money around for years, using our cards, mine included, when their limits ran dry. They used yours without asking. My anger flared. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I demanded. Joseph hesitated. I didn't want to rock the boat. I've got my own career to protect. I pressed him to confront them with me, to lay it all bare. He paused, then said, I can't. If I get involved, it'll tank my position at work. I'm sorry. The line went dead, leaving me stunned. His refusal hit hard. I'd hoped for an ally, but Joseph chose self-preservation. The pieces were falling into place: Mom's desperation, Dad's deflection, Desiree's blind loyalty. They were all trapped in a facade, and I was the one paying the price. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. You're breaking Grandma's heart, too. I turned it off, my resolve hardening. This wasn't my fault. But the fight was far from over. 5 days later, the mandatory family dinner arrived at their El Paso home. The dining room table was set with Mom's finest china, a roasted lamb centerpiece surrounded by dishes that screamed effort, her way of signaling control. The air was thick with tension as I walked in, dressed in my usual jeans and sweater, bracing for a fight. Angela sat at one end, her face a mask of forced calm. Anthony, at the head, barely looked up from his wine glass. Desiree, in a silk dress, scrolled her phone with a smirk. Joseph slouched in his chair, avoiding my eyes. Nobody spoke as I took my seat. Mom broke the silence. We're here to resolve this mess you've caused. Miranda, she said, her voice icy. The airline's holding our tickets because of your dispute. It's embarrassing. Anthony nodded. Just withdraw the claim, and we'll move on. Desiree chimed in, her tone sharp. Why are you making this so hard? It's just money. I clenched my fists under the table, my pulse racing. It's not just money, I said, keeping my voice steady. You used my card without asking for $8,000 in tickets that left me out. That's a violation. Angela's eyes widened, feigning shock. A violation. After all we've done for you, I was organizing our family trip. Anthony leaned forward. You're blowing this out of proportion. We all contribute. Drop the dispute, or you're out of this family. Desiree scoffed. You're so ungrateful. Miranda, always playing the victim. Joseph stayed silent, his face unreadable, which stung more than their words. I'd come prepared, pulling out a printed bank statement from my bag. Joseph told me you're drowning in debt. I said, sliding it across the table. Failed stock investments, maxed out cards, loans against the house. You used my card because yours were tapped out. Angela's face paled. How dare you dig into our finances, she snapped. Anthony grabbed the statement, his hands shaking. This is private. You had no right. Desiree jumped in. You're lying to make us look bad. I shook my head. I'm trying to help. You need to face this. Get a financial advisor. Scale back. This can't go on. Their response was instant denial. Angela stood, her voice trembling with rage. We're fine. Every successful family has cash flow issues. You're shaming us. Anthony slammed his fist on the table. You're the problem. Miranda. Not us. Desiree sneered. Maybe if you had a real job, you wouldn't be so obsessed with money. I tried to stay calm, but their attacks cracked something inside me. Enough, I said, my voice cutting through the room. For years, I've let you make me feel less because I don't chase wealth like you. I've stretched myself thin to fit your image, but using my card without consent. Leaving me out, that's not family. That's betrayal. The table froze. Angela gasped, clutching her napkin like a shield. Anthony's face hardened. Desiree stared, stunned. Joseph looked away, still silent. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. If family means letting you walk over my boundaries, I don't want it. I walked out, my heart pounding, torn between fury and a strange sense of freedom. If boundaries changed your family, subscribe and share below. 6 months after that dinner, I sat alone in my El Paso apartment reflecting. I'd blocked their numbers, deleted the family group chat, and muted their emails. Cutting ties with Mom, Dad, Desiree, and Joseph was the hardest choice I'd ever made, but it was final. The silence was heavy at first, like losing a piece of myself, but it gave me clarity. I wasn't the villain they'd painted me as. I was done letting their expectations define me. The fallout for them was brutal, and I pieced it together from snippets I heard through mutual contacts. Angela and Anthony's facade of wealth crumbled fast. Their suburban mansion went into foreclosure when they couldn't keep up with the second mortgage. By spring, a sheriff's notice was taped to their door, and they were forced to move into a small rental across town. Anthony filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, liquidating what little assets they had left to cover a fraction of their debts. His stock market ventures, once his pride, had left them with nothing but maxed-out credit lines. I heard Angela was meeting with a divorce lawyer, their marriage buckling under the strain of financial ruin and years of unspoken resentment. Neither reached out to me, and I didn't expect them to. Desiree's world unraveled too. Her Instagram posts, meant to shame me, backfired when a local influencer called out her fake rich lifestyle. The scandal spread, and her high-end retail job vanished. Her boss didn't want the drama tainting their brand. She moved back to El Paso, working odd retail gigs, her social media now private. Joseph, always the golden child, distanced himself from everyone. He took a transfer to a different city, chasing his career, but kept his distance from me too. I didn't blame him, but it hurt. I leaned on my Aunt Felicia's words from that call months ago. She'd warned me about their patterns, and cutting contact was my way of breaking free. My life wasn't perfect. Freelance coding kept me afloat, but gigs were inconsistent. Still, I was rebuilding, free from their pressure to pretend I was someone I wasn't. I started therapy, learning to untangle the guilt they'd drilled into me. My apartment, once a source of their judgment, felt like a sanctuary now. I even joined a local hiking group, finding peace in the desert trails I'd suggested for that doomed Hawaii trip. Looking back, I saw the lessons clearly. Setting financial boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. When my family used my card without consent, they crossed a line that exposed their deeper flaws. Their obsession with appearances, their willingness to manipulate, showed me what family shouldn't be. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Toxic dynamics, even with blood, can trap you in a cycle of pain. Cutting them out let me breathe. Let me live on my terms. I don't know if they'll ever change, and I've made peace with not knowing. My focus is on building a life where trust and respect aren't negotiable.